Hey, welcome back to the Empaths Reclamation podcast. I'm your host, guide, and fellow traveler on this path of remembering, reclaiming, and just returning home to yourself. Today's episode is a word that often feels very heavy and complicated and loaded with old stories and wounds. And that word is boundaries. Now, if you're anything like me or like the many empaths I've walked alongside, boundaries can feel like a wall, high, thick, reinforced, like something that keeps people out, which can feel like you're rejecting or abandoning or pushing others away. But what if I told you that boundaries, when they are held from a place of love and self trust, actually are not walls? Rather, they're more like bridges. They're invitations back to mutual respect. They're a way of saying, here's what's true for me, and I honor what's true for you. And here's a way we get to stay connected. Now, let's take a breath into that, inhaling deeply through the nose and exhaling slowly through the mouth and just letting that land. Because here's the thing, my dear. Many of us who feel deeply were never taught how to set boundaries. Instead, we were taught that love means self sacrifice, that being a good person means saying yes when we want to say no, that keeping the peace is far more important than telling the truth, and that if someone gets upset when we express a need, that must mean that we're doing something wrong. But I want to gently challenge that today because boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about bringing us closer together. They're about staying in relationship without losing yourself. Let's get clear, though, about how boundaries are not walls. I like to think of them as bridges. And here's the thing about bridges that I absolutely love is that not all bridges are the same. Some are strong, they're steady, they're built to last. They're a stable connection, right, between two sides. Some are rope bridges, swaying and fragile, requiring this trust and this care and attention to cross safely. Some bridges lift up, allowing ships to pass underneath, because sometimes space is needed for the flow of life to move through. And yes, sometimes bridges burn, because not every bridge is meant to last forever. Sometimes the burning of the bridge is not by the empath who sets the boundary, but by the one who realizes that they no longer have access they once did, an access that was really never truly theirs to take in the first place. And when a boundary or core value of yours is crossed, or when your no is not honored, when your needs are dismissed, there may come a time when you, dear empath, may need to let that bridge burn. And that moment can bring grief, it can bring rage, it can feel like a loss, yet at the same time is an act of self-honoring and creating the space for more aligned people and behaviors in your life. Because you're not here to hold up bridges that collapse under the weight of somebody else's expectations. You're not here to maintain connections that drain your life force. You're here to tend your own sacred ground, to honor what is true for you, even if it means letting certain bridges burn to ash. Let's breathe into that for just a moment, inhaling deeply. Boundaries are bridges. Then exhale. Boundaries are love. On each inhale, feel the bridges in your life. And on each exhale, release the ones that no longer serve. And I invite you to do this practice on a fairly regular basis. All right, now let's take this even a level deeper, my dear, because a boundary is not just a word or an intention. A boundary is not something we think about or hope others will just magically understand. A boundary is an action. It's the line we draw, and it's what we do when that line is crossed. Because here's the truth is a boundary that is only spoken but not enforced, that's not really a boundary. That's a suggestion and an invitation for others to test how serious you really are. And over time, if there's no follow through, they'll learn, oh, they didn't mean it. Ah, they'll get over it. Oh, I can keep pushing, and they won't actually say no. They'll actually give in. Have you ever experienced any of this? I know I have. And this is where so many empaths struggle because we fear the consequences of holding a boundary. We don't want to hurt feelings. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to lose those connections. So we say, I can't take this on right now. But then when the call or message comes in asking for more, we'll answer that call anyways. We might say something like, I need more space. But then we're back in the dynamic that drains us because we don't want to upset anyone. And this is not to shame you, my dear. This is just the waters that we've been swimming in. This is the people pleasing. This is the survival patterns and the self-abandonment that so many of us have learned and been conditioned to our entire lives. But here's a point of your reclamation. It's the acknowledgement that a boundary is an act of self-love and a sacred accountability to yourself. When you say, I will not tolerate disrespect, what do you do when someone disrespects you? When you say, I need Sundays to myself for rest, what do you do when someone asks for your time on a Sunday? Now, this is not about being rigid or harsh. This is about follow through. Because boundaries require clarity. What is the boundary and what happens if it's crossed? Boundaries also require courage to both name the boundary and to honor it with action. Because when you follow through, when you hold the boundary, you teach the world how to treat you. And you teach yourself that you are worthy of that respect and reclaim the energy that has been leaking out in silent resentment. And I invite you again to just breathe into that. Inhaling, my boundaries are sacred, and exhaling, I follow through on what I say. My boundaries are sacred, and I follow through on what I say. Now, here's that gentle question for you to reflect on and explore this week. Where in my life am I holding back my truth out of fear of disappointing someone else? And what would it feel like to speak my truth with love, even if it's uncomfortable? You might want to journal on this or just simply hold it in your heart as you move through this following week. But please reflect on it. So let us reiterate once again, boundaries are not ultimatums. They're not about control. They aren't about creating rigid rules that cut you off from connection with others. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. And they sound like, I'm not available for that right now. That doesn't feel aligned for me. I hear your perspective, and I also need to honor mine. I am not able to give my energy to this at the moment. And when spoken with love, boundaries actually invite deeper intimacy because they allow us to stay in relationship without resentment, without overextension, and without collapse. So, right now, I'd like for you to just take a deep breath in, placing one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly. Feel your breath move beneath your hands, feel your body here and now. And just gently whisper to yourself, I'm allowed to take up space. I'm allowed to have needs. I am allowed to honor my truth. Breathe that in and just let it settle into your bones. And so, my dear, always remember that you were never meant to abandon yourself to belong, and that boundaries are how you get to stay with yourself while also holding that space for others. Boundaries are not selfish. They are not cold. Boundaries are sacred. And this is the time for your reclamation, to stand in your truth, to honor your energy, to let your yes be yes, and your no be no, and to know in your core that boundaries are bridges, and boundaries, they are love. And if someone walks away because you spoke and stood with your truth, they were never meant to walk beside you. I just want to thank you for being with me today. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, leave a review. It helps this podcast to reach more hearts who need it. And if you're ready to deepen your journey, you're always welcome to join me for monthly online breathwork sessions or reach out for one-to-one or group coaching if you're craving more intimate support in your reclamation into this returning to yourself. You can also follow me along on Instagram at johnprice3.coaching. That's John Price, III, breathwork.coaching. And there you can get more reflections, more prompts, and get more information on any upcoming offerings that I might have. And you're also more than welcome to share any of your revelations or reflections, or just to get in touch there as well. Please feel free to DM me. In our next episode, we'll explore how to create a grounded energy hygiene practice as an empath, one that will help you clear what's not yours, that energy that doesn't belong to you, and then come back to your own center. And I hope to see you there. And until then, continue to breathe deep, stay soft, stay grounded, and stay radically, beautifully you.